Today we will start our database and we are going to see each topic line by line. Suppose creating a table in database. So we are going to practice that in our MySQL and Oracle that we have installed. And then we are going to move forward with other topics. So let's start. Database. What is database? Database is some repository where your data or related data is getting stored in a well organized manner. It is the organized collection of related data, interrelated data. Database is something where we are storing data between two business entities which can be accessed depending on requirements. And those data are also modifiable, such as we can add, delete, retrieve some data, and we can also alter that data, we can update that data, etc. And it should be well organized. And this is what basically database is. What is data? Data is collection of raw information. It is unorganized, unstructured. We have no clue what that data is. Suppose there is a pin code 822101, but that pin code, this 822101, didn't have title pin code. So how someone is going to know that it's a pin code? So we have to provide title pin code for this data. But if we organize this in organized way, structured way, we provide title pin code 28222101, then this is going to be said as data. Database is actually a place, or you can say it is a repository where a related piece of information can be stored and accessed. Now what is data stores? Data store is a place where you can store your enterprise data. There are different type of data stores. First one is file system, second one is SQL database, and another one is NoSQL database. And we also have massive storage. So in file system, basically we work with text files, .xml, .json. But in SQL database, we have MySQL, we have Oracle, we have PostgreSQL, we have DBS, we have Sybase and SQL Server, and we also have etc. And what else we have in NoSQL database? We got MongoDB, we have DynamoDB, we have Cassandra, etc. We have Bigtable, we also have Red Hat over there. And in massive storage we got HDFC. But in this tutorial and now on forwards in couple of videos, we are going to learn in SQL database that we have also installed MySQL and Oracle. We are going to use these both SQL databases and we are going to practice our course on this. And in this particular PDF, I have managed to get only information about these two SQL databases. So the syntax of MySQL as well as Oracle is available in this PDF. Let's see further. Various type of database system. We have DBMS, RDBMS, ORDBMS. So RDBMS is basically database management system. It is the application software that we use to store and manipulate data in database. And what is RDBMS? RDBMS is a relational database management system that stores data in tabular format. And what is ORDBMS? ORDBMS refers to Object Relational Database Management System. So in tabular format, the table is basically combined of row and column. That's the simple thing we all know, that contains related data entries. So we have row and we have columns like this, and the corresponding one is a cell. So that is what we are calling related data. SQL. Structured query language. SQL is a structured language and a standard language which is provided by American National Standard Institute. So what this standard language is meant to do? All the database vendors like MySQL and other, you can say also MongoDB or Oracle, has to follow the syntax which is provided by ANSI, American National Standard Institute, while implementing third-party database. Whenever any vendor is making their database, so they have to implement this syntax that is provided by ANSI. What are those syntax? Syntax is basically rules and guidelines to follow. So there will be some standard, industry standard in the every database which is going to get provided by different database vendors. SQL is kind of set of rules. Like I said, it is a kind of set of rules. If we are DB vendor and want to develop our own SQL tool, then we have to go through guideline syntax from ANSI. So ANSI used to provide these some rules, some guidelines, or you can say it's a syntax that every DB vendor have to follow. We can also write query in SQL also, but it's not so easy to do so. For that reason, different DB vendors provide their third-party tool by simplifying SQL. If we are using syntax given by SQL, ANSI, then it will be called theta style. If we are using SQL language, the syntax of SQL, then it is going to be called as theta style. Using SQL, you can prepare simple SQL statements to perform operations with a database, like inserting the data, updating data, deleting data, and also how to retrieve or read the data. So this is what SQL is. It is a standard language given by ANSI. This is the important one. Maybe this can be asked in interviews. And this is the rules, guidelines. You can say it is a syntax that every DB vendor have to follow whenever they are developing their DB tool. Now let's see data type. So in Java we have different data types. We have maybe 7 data types like int, string, long, double, float. We also have boolean. But in case of databases, we have different data types, which is going to be dependent on the vendors of the database. Data type is a database vendor dependent, because maybe we are going to use Oracle, or maybe we are going to use MySQL, maybe something else like SQL Server or PostgreSQL or something else. So in MySQL, to store integer values, we have int, like same as Java. So to store integer value in MySQL, we have int, we have big int. We also have long. To store floating values, we have float and double, same as when we are storing some decimal values. For that we have float and double. For alphanumeric, for alphabet, we have char, varchar and text. To store date, we have date. To store large documents, we have data type called clog. To store binary files like MP3 or image or maybe video, we can use blog and long blog. So basically you have to remember the integer one and alphanumeric. char, varchar, int, big int, long text, because this is the one we are going to work mostly inside our tutorials. Let's see the next topic. So how to create tables in database. So the syntax is create table. This is the clause. So we have to hard code CREATE space table, and then we have to provide table name. Whatever we want to give the name of a table. In bracket, we have to open the bracket. We have to provide column name, and we have to give the data type. What data type is going to be this column is of. We have to provide size, and then we are going to work on constraint. So you can for now leave this size and constraint. We are just going to concentrate on column and data type. We created our table, create table, we provided table a name, we open a bracket, we give a column, horizontally column, a name, we provide a data type, and then we are going to give comma, we are going to create our second column name, data type for that column, then we are going to give comma, and likewise we are creating number of columns as much as we want. Then we are going to close our bracket, then a semicolon. So this is the syntax how we create our table. So here is the example. Let's do the example that how we are going to create in our table. Create our table in Oracle as well as in MySQL. So at the time of installing MySQL, let's provide the password that we set it over there. And I got logged in MySQL. In Oracle, as I told, the default username is system, and the password we set over there is, it is not going to reflect the password, but it is there. Just click enter, and we also got logged in our Oracle. So how to create a table? We already saw the syntax. Let's create our table. Let me do one thing. We are going to work with MySQL first. So arrange this. This is the syntax. Create create table. Let's provide a table name. Practice 1. Open the bracket. Let's provide a column name. Suppose C name and the data type. Do we want to have this of alphabetical, or we have to be this numerical? So let's provide C name. So it's going to as a alphabetic, not in integer values. So for alphabetic we have char and varchar. Char and varchar. Let's give it char and provide a size, suppose 5. And let's forget a constant for now. Let's move from this column and then comma, and then we are going to create our next column. Suppose roll number, it is going to be of type int, and the next one is maybe city is also going to be of type char, or maybe we can use data type var char. Let's provide a size to it, also 4, and let's close our bracket and provide a semicolon over there, because this is how we close the brackets when we are creating a table. Let's click on enter. It is giving error saying no database selected. So in the case of MySQL, first we have to create a database. So let's see, is that there any database available before we are creating this table. So for that we have query show databases, semicolon. Yes, we already have 3 databases. I think these are the default ones that comes with MySQL. So let's create our database first. Then inside that database, we are going to create our first table. So first we have to create a database. So let's create a database. Create database test1. This is how we create a database. It is giving error because we have missed, because we write the spelling of database wrong. So query 1 row affected. So query is run successfully. Now let's check with this command show database, is that our database get included in this list or not. If you click your upper arrow key, then you can hover across the queries that you already have used. So it's a show databases. Here we got our first database. So to create a table inside this database, first we have to select this database. So the query to do so is use and database name, which is test1. Database changed. Now we are inside this database. So now we are create our table. Let's create our first table. We can hover and go back to the point where we are creating a table. So this is the query we are trying to run, but at that time it's failed because we didn't have database at that time. Now we can go through with this query. Click enter and query OK. 0 row affected. Now let's see, is that there is any table get created inside this database test1 or not. So to do so we have a query show database name. Or like this, database test1. No, this is not the query. Maybe this data show database test1. Maybe only test1. Let's see. Test1. So this query is not going to work because we want to see a table inside a database. So we have to write a query like this: show tables of test1. So this is the query: show tables. We have practice 1. We are inside our test1 database, use test. We created a query and then show tables. We are running this query when we are inside test1 database after using this query test use test1. So here we have the query, the table that we have created using this syntax. To more elaborate this table, that what are the columns inside this table, we can use the column to see that. We can use this query to see that DESC track is 1. So these are the columns that are inside this table. CNAME, which is of type char, roll number, which is of data type int, and for city we have used varchar. Now let's go through our PDF. We successfully created our first table inside our first database.